Of Vermont, thank you for coming back on the show. We're going to talk. We're not going to make you do your monster imitation again today.
You're not.
We're not.
I've been rehearsing it. I have not been talking about unemployment, not been talking about distribution of wealth. You know why? I said on this program, what do they want? My grandchildren and the monster. But you don't want to talk about it?
No, okay, give it to me again. Go ahead. Okay, that was pretty good.
Did I scare you?
You scared the hell out of me. I'll tell you the truth.
Now we're going to talk about the serious issues facing our country.
We are. We're going to talk about a bunch of things in the news, and they're all going to be substantive and serious, and you're going to like it. Today, up in Boston, in the Boston bombing trial, Johar Zanarov was found guilty in that case. As you know, he's eligible for the death penalty. You are a person who I know historically has been against the death penalty. Would you like to see the death penalty for that man?
I don't think you make exceptions. What he did was beyond horrendous. But I think in a world as violent as our world is today, I just don't think the state should be in the business of killing people. So I think my hope is you put this guy away forever, and that's it.
Okay. We have Mark, I believe, here from Chicago. Mark, come on in.
Yep. Senator, another situation involving death. Walter Scott, a 50-year-old African-American man killed by a police officer in North Charleston, South Carolina. The police officer's now been charged with murder. What's your reaction to that case, and what do you see happen next there?
Well, obviously what took place is a tragedy. I happened to see the video, and, you know, it's, again, beyond words. But I applaud, you know, and this is South Carolina, and you got to take your hats off to the officials there who said, you know what? When somebody is shot in the back, what I think was 8 times, that's murder. And if a police officer does it, it's murder. So I applaud the officials for acting decisively on that issue. Look, I was a mayor for 8 years, and police officers have an enormously difficult job, and they need to have our support. But I think we need to make it clear that when police officers act badly, and it appears that in this case, this officer acted very badly, that he should be indicted.
Senator, we've had a public figure just recently who has been talking about some issues that you care a lot about rebuilding American cities and about economic opportunity, who gave a talk the other day. I want to read this to you and see if you know who it was who said it, and see if I can find some kinship with you. This is a person who was quoted saying, "Can you imagine what a $1 billion stimulus could do for Detroit or for Appalachia? I'm convinced that most Americans want to work. I want us to free up the great engine of American prosperity." Do you know who that person who said that, talking about $1 billion stimulus for Appalachia or Detroit? Rand Paul. Now, I'm curious, he was talking yesterday in his announcement speech about not building bridges abroad and instead putting that money home and putting it in infrastructure. Do you find some kinship with him, or do you want to call?
It's election time,
yeah,
and candidates will say things that they think appeal to voters. I introduced legislation recently which would put $1 trillion into rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure over 5 years, create and maintain some 13 million jobs. Rand Paul is not a co-sponsor. I would love to see him be a co-sponsor. We can use some Republican support. We need to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. At the end of the day, after you get beyond the nuances of this or that Republican candidate, I think they pretty much come down in the same direction. That is, more tax breaks for billionaires, more tax breaks for corporations, and massive cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, education, nutrition programs, and the needs of working families.
Mark?
Senator, we reported this morning that one of your colleagues, Ted Cruz, has a series now of interlocking super PACs supporting him that were established this week, and by Friday expect to have $31 million in the bank in total in these super PACs. I'm just wondering what words you would use to describe what Senator Cruz's super PACs have done.
Well, it's not just Cruz. This is what politics in America is about. And let me be very clear about that. And I think you think I'm being overreactive here. I think what Citizens United Supreme Court decision did will go down in history as being one of the worst decisions ever from the Supreme Court. Frankly, I think American democracy, the foundations of American democracy, are in serious danger. And what Citizens United has done is opened up the floodgates for billionaires to be able to spend as much money as they want to elect candidates. And frankly, and we saw this in Chicago just the other day with Rahm Emanuel's reelection, it remains to be seen whether candidates who represent working families can win elections when the billionaire class is prepared to spend unlimited sums of money. It is a very frightening situation. Citizens United has got to be overturned. We need to move to public funding of elections.
Let me ask you quickly about Iran. This is a big thing that's now facing the country, maybe facing the Senate. You've been in favor of negotiation. You've been critical of the letter that your Republican colleagues wrote. I'm curious what substantive concerns you have about Iranian compliance and whether you think Congress should have to authorize any deal that gets passed.
Well, of course I'm concerned. I mean, Iran has not been the most honest and honorable partner in terms of nuclear issues. They have, not been honest. But I think, in my view, the war in Iraq was probably the worst foreign policy blunder in modern American history. It destabilized the entire region. As everybody knows, we have been in 2 wars in Iraq and Afghanistan for over a decade. And I want to see us do everything that we can to, A, make sure that Iran does not get a nuclear weapon, but B, we've got to do it in a way that doesn't take us to another war. And I think the President and Secretary Kerry are doing a good job in that direction.
Congress should have a vote, yes or no?
No, I think on this one, the President has the legal right to negotiate an agreement.
Okay. Having fun out there being a little bit of a candidate, yes or no?
Yeah.
Give me the monster one more time.
No.
Jesus.
That'll scare you into doing silly things. Now you want to talk about real issues.
Whew. Okay. Senator Bernie Sanders, thank you for scaring the bejesus out of me. After the great break, the book that details all the crazy stuff that has gone down in the White House, and I do mean crazy.